You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela
and Marchelle,
episode number 123.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast this week. Hey Marchelle, how was your birthday last week?
Oh my gosh, this is another opportunity for me to thank you guys. You guys made me feel so special.
Oh,
it was such a nice birthday. It was the first birthday since I've been working at the clinic that I have not been gone. So it was the first birthday that I'd worked, and it was so lovely. You guys were so nice to me, and thank you so much.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Well, I hope the rest of your day was good too. So.
It was great. It was a really, really nice day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you deserve, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
We all deserve those kinds of nice days.
We do. Okay, so we have had a great week at the clinic. We have had a great weekend.
Yes.
Like we are set to go. So today we have a really exciting topic to discuss. And that is, maybe it's not so exciting. How do you stay motivated?
This is a great topic.
How do you stay motivated? Because this is a journey that is going to challenge everything about you. And I always say that the journey to lasting weight loss is a journey of profound personal evolution. Like that is on autopilot in my head. And so if you stop dieting and you do this weight loss journey correctly, you're going to get to really know yourself in very deep ways. And that's what's so important about this. But, with the right mindset and strategies, you can stay motivated and you can achieve your goals. So in today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to share tips and techniques to help you stay on track. How's that sound?
It sounds great. I'm excited.
All right. So here is tip number 1. If you're taking notes, this is number 1. Please, please, please set achievable goals. Please. So
yes.
None of this, I want to lose all my fat by my 50th birthday BS. So when you've got 50 pounds of fat to lose and your 50th birthday is coming up in 3 months, no, that's crazy. So I have a friend who would say that's like living in a little box of crazy. She's so funny. So-and-so is living in a box of crazy these days. So 50 pounds in 3 months, no way. Okay. So I know that I have been guilty of setting goals that are crazy and unachievable, which of course is a recipe for you to get totally discouraged and give up really easily, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had this happen to you?
Oh my gosh.
I think you have.
You and I both know that this topic is very near and dear to my heart. It's been like one of my biggest challenges is staying motivated and, and the dieting for deadlines. And, I have made those mistakes more than once. Yeah. And for one, setting unrealistic goals, that's been a problem of mine because, something comes up like somebody invites you to a wedding, or for me, it was vacation. And so what the problem was for me is that I had to adhere to this really strict way of eating, and I couldn't do it for very long. Right. And so by the time that the vacation came, and I went to this all-inclusive, then it was like game on. Right. Because I'd achieved what I went to achieve. And, I got into that weight where I felt really comfortable and I felt like I had a little bit of wiggle room is what I say in my head. And, and so I get to the vacation and it's, all you can eat, all you can drink. And I was like, oh yeah, now here we go. Here's the party. And so by the time I got back, then I couldn't even get it back on track. I just went this whole year of feeling just totally off track because I didn't have a goal anymore. And so I just learned so much about unrealistic goals, and it was a learning experience for me, and it always is. But that was one of my biggest challenges.
Yeah. I did that too when I was dieting for that figure competition.
Yeah, oh gosh.
It was 13 weeks of really, really, really strict stuff.
Right.
And during that time, my brother got married on Maui. He got Mauied, he said.
He got Mauied.
He got Mauied.
So funny.
And I had to cook all of this special food in our little condo. And I had to bring my food scale and weigh it and measure it. All of this stuff. It was like, oh my God. And, when it came to the wedding party or whatever, it was just pure deprivation.
Yeah.
And I just remember oh my God, well, if you're going to stand up on stage in front of a bunch of people in a swimsuit, you're going to do whatever it takes, right? And then,
oh gosh, the pressure of that, I couldn't even imagine.
It was crazy. And then after that, game on, it was so this kind of stuff is just absolute insanity. So whatever you're going to do to lose weight and keep it off is what you're going to do to keep the weight off. So you cannot be doing these crazy restrictive things. You've got to set realistic goals. We do in our clinic, we have a body composition machine, and I think a pound of fat loss average each week is a really great goal to shoot for. If you're focused and motivated and not doing stupid, crazy shit, I think you can do a pound of fat loss a week, unless you've got, now there are people who have a bunch of insulin resistance that they're having to work against. Yeah. So, and you need to have an obesity medicine specialist on your side here, because there are medications that can help correct all of that stuff so that it's a little bit easier for you. But, this whole business, 50 pounds in 3 months so that I'm at my goal weight by my 50th birthday, that is absolute insanity. And don't even think about doing that. You are never going to hear that kind of advice from us, okay?
No.
So what are you going to do instead? You're going to start by setting small, realistic goals that you can easily reach. So remember, I think a pound of fat loss each week is pretty reasonable. So if it's 4 pounds a month, that'd be perfect. 4 pounds of fat loss. That doesn't mean 4 pounds of weight loss either. That means 4 pounds of fat loss. So, and preserving your muscle mass while you're doing that. So you really need to get body composition testing done. I'm a huge advocate for that. I love the InBody scale because it's so easy to read. And you just go to inbodyusa.com. And then there's a little place there where you can just type in your zip code or your city or whatever, and they'll show you what facilities near you might have them. And there are InBody things you can get at home, but they're not as accurate. So I just recommend going to a facility and getting an InBody test done. About once a month is about right. It takes about 45 seconds. It'll probably cost you, I don't know, $30 or so. Depends on the place, depends on where you live. Depends on how exclusive the club is that you find too. So it's just a quick test, and it will give you the information that you need. So get a baseline before you get started, and then do one once a month. And
oh my gosh. And I have witnessed some really great testimony on this InBody machine, because I personally I didn't really know the difference, in the beginning of what the InBody machine tells you versus the scale. And sometimes, our patients would come, and I know you used to always say, you get them on the InBody machine, get on the InBody machine. And, people would be reluctant to do it because, they didn't have a good month and they didn't want to get on, so I wouldn't really push them. But I do now, because I have seen the difference in when people gain muscle and they lose fat, although it does not show up on the actual scale.
No.
But when you get on the InBody machine, it shows that because they'll say, I'm doing everything right, but the scale's not moving.
Right.
Well, it's because they're building muscle. And they're losing the fat. And so it's just such a great way to break everything down. It has so much more information. It's just really way more important to use the InBody scale than the actual scale.
Yeah. And I always tell everybody the minute they get started with us, just throw your scale away. You don't have to throw it away, but put it away for a while you're in the weight loss process. And just don't use it as any sort of accurate indicator. And that is so hard for people. That is so hard. And I get it. It's hard for me too. I used to be one of these people. I'd get on the scale after I woke up and after I peed, and then I'd go eat breakfast, and then I'd get on the scale again. I mean, there's just all this craziness with the scale. So set realistic goals, but make sure that you're measuring your progress correctly. Okay? That's what I want to say for tip number 1. Okay, so you ready for the next tip?
Yes.
Okay. So the next tip is focus on what we in the weight loss world call non-scale victories. So what's a non-scale victory? They're achievements that go beyond the numbers on the scale and the pounds of fat you've lost. So you think about what is it that you're really wanting to achieve? Like we all want to achieve weight loss for particular reasons. So think about what it is that you're really wanting to become. What is it about losing fat that's going to change your life? And you focus on those changes instead. So here are some examples. And if you keep your focus on these kinds of things, that will keep you motivated. First off, improved energy levels. Okay, so how many times do we hear how happy people are because, oh my gosh, they just spent 2 hours in their garden and they thought absolutely nothing of it and they felt great the entire time. Or they were able to spend all day at a theme park without having to sit on a bench more than anybody else. These are huge, huge victories for people and they need to be celebrated, right?
Agreed. Yes, they do.
So energy levels, huge. The fact that, you can go out hiking with your family and not have to huff and puff your way up the hill, those are the kinds of things that are super, super helpful. Okay, so that's the first type of non-scale victory you can celebrate is improved energy levels. The second type of non-scale victory you can celebrate is to just notice how your clothes are fitting. So as you lose weight and you lose inches, I should say as you lose fat and you lose inches, your clothes are going to start to fit differently. And that is another huge sign that you're getting healthier, especially if you're noticing that your pants are getting loose around the waist. That is huge cause for celebration because you're losing that really dangerous visceral fat or the belly fat that I always talk about. Yep. And that's huge. So have fun trying on clothes that used to be too tight and congratulate yourself when they now fit comfortably, or perhaps even they're becoming loose. Have fun donating or selling the clothes that no longer fit. It's so much fun to just put huge bags of clothes in the trunk of your car to give to Goodwill. I have a blast doing that.
That's true.
Or you can make money from them. So we had one of our patients, she had a really sort of extensive work wardrobe and she sold all of her clothes on eBay and she made thousands of dollars. Like I'm thinking $5,000.
Oh my gosh.
Selling her clothes on eBay. Isn't that amazing?
That's a great idea. Yes.
So that's a great way to celebrate the non-scale victories, right?
Oh man, when your clothes start to feel different and you start feeling more confident in what you're wearing, I mean, that is just such an amazing feeling. I know personally, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I always say in Empowered Weight Loss, our goal is to get you thriving in a healthy, vibrant body that you're proud of.
Yeah.
So like as you are, it's just fun to watch people as they lose the weight and they start wearing more fitted clothes. And you can just see by the way they hold themselves and the way they carry themselves.
Yeah.
How much
I love
prouder
that part
they
of
are.
my job. Yes, exactly.
Yep. So that's a huge non-scale victory too. Okay, here is a third non-scale victory that you can celebrate. As you lose fat, you're going to notice improved physical stamina. Okay, so this is another huge milestone. So if you notice that your workouts are becoming easier, celebrate that. Like you could even consider setting up a new fitness goal or a challenge for yourself. For example, you could sign up for a 5K, or you could start taking yoga or Pilates classes to build up your strength and mobility and work at achieving like a certain type of yoga pose that's a little bit more difficult, a more challenging yoga pose. It's nice when you feel less self-conscious going to classes and going to activities. And as you do these types of things, you're naturally going to fuel your desire to stay motivated in your weight loss journey and keep nourishing your body with the right foods. Doesn't that make sense?
Right. I think I remember like when I was able to start hiking with my family or going on long walks without my knees hurting. Or, having to say, no, you guys go ahead. I'm going back to the car. So that was wonderful.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing I just thought of too. So what I really love is when patients come into the clinic and they start getting off their medications, like
Oh, yeah.
like their blood pressure medications or
Uh-huh.
their high cholesterol medications, or even
Yeah.
some of their diabetes medications. It's so
Yes.
great to see that.
Yes. So this is another type of non-scale victory that you can celebrate as you're going along. And particularly as you lose that very nasty, dangerous visceral fat, the belly fat, right? Your blood pressure is going to come down because visceral fat raises your blood pressure. Your cholesterol levels are going to improve. It's going to be much easier to manage your blood sugar. Our insulin dependent diabetics love it when they get off insulin. Now, that's not necessarily possible for everyone, but for many, it is. And this is a huge way to stay motivated. Like, who wants to be taking insulin shots or managing an insulin pump? That sucks. So, if you want to be able to keep your physical health, all of these health markers are really, really important. It's so much fun because people will go into their primary care and they'll recheck their cholesterol levels. And, sometimes the LDL does go up, but that's the bad cholesterol. We expect that during the fat loss process. I talked about that in our cholesterol podcast, which was probably 100 podcast episodes ago by now, but but many, many times these cholesterol levels come down and people just discover like, oh my gosh, I don't need as much blood pressure medications, if any. You're just getting healthier and healthier and healthier and healthier. And that is amazing for people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Another common story I love to hear that keeps people really motivated is when they say they can play with their grandkids for a longer period of time, or they can watch them, or they can take them. That's a huge motivator for people that come in. They're like, I want to be able to, play with my grandchildren. So I love hearing those stories.
Yes. And we hear stories about people who, either we had a florist she was noticing that she was able to bend down and pick stuff up off the floor a lot easier. And, or if you're down on the floor with kids and you've always had a hard time kind of getting up and you're having to lean against stuff to get yourself up. Now, you just pop yourself right up really easily. That people love those kinds of non-scale victories. It's wonderful. So just that increased mobility and the ability to do what you want to do without having the physical body getting in your way. It's serving you instead of getting in your way. It's really, really nice. So, yeah. Yep. So those are just a few of the non-scale victories you can celebrate. There are plenty more, but I also have some other ways to stay motivated. So here's some other ideas. One thing I recommend always is that you get yourself an accountability buddy or maybe even an accountability group. We've had in Empowered Weight Loss, lots of people who've formed groups of 3 or 4 people. And one time they even got T-shirts that were similar for our celebration, for our end of the course celebration. They were all wearing the same T-shirt. It was so fun. So having an accountability group is basically, it's a support system. And so when you're working together with other people at getting healthier, and you're working not just at managing your physical health, but learning how to manage your mind too. Like, this is huge to have accountability. It's huge. And research shows very clearly that people who are part of a focus group or who have some sort of accountability always do better losing weight and keeping it off. So, for example, if you choose to join us in Empowered Weight Loss, which I hope you'll do, you can reach out to someone in the membership to be an accountability buddy. And, it's nice to have somebody who kind of lives close to you or somebody who's in your same time zone. But it's just really nice to be able to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to this wedding this weekend. And I'm really, worried that I'll be tempted to have a piece of wedding cake. And so I'm going to reach out to you and I'm going to say, here's my plan for what I'm going to be doing at the wedding. And then give them, after the wedding is over, give them a text back and tell them how you did. And if your accountability buddy knows that you're going to be accountable to them, then they'll stand there and they'll hold that desire for you to stay to stay on track and to not get succumbed by all of the celebration and everything going on and into doing something that could really jeopardize your health.
Yeah, you don't want to try to do this alone. I mean, having a whole community is the way to do this.
Mm-hmm. So when you surround yourself like this with people who understand your weight loss journey and you help each other out in your challenges, you're going to feel so much less alone. So many people on a weight loss journey feel very alone. And you're sharing your successes and your challenges and your progress. This is going to help you stay motivated. It's also going to give you a sense of camaraderie and encouragement. And it's just a really great way to keep up your motivation, because if you've got if you're having a bad day, the others can buoy you up. And then if you're having a great day and they're having a bad day, you can help buoy them up too.
Right.
So you can really use each other to help yourself stay motivated. Make sense?
Yeah.
Another way to stay motivated is to track your progress in a journal or a mobile app. So, for example, MyFitnessPal or Lose It, or there's lots of apps out there these days. So, recording your meals and your workouts and your overall progress can really help you stay on track. And in our clinic, our EMR is awesome, and it will show us a graph of people's weights over time. And so when someone's struggling, I'll go back, I'll show them their graph, and I'll go back to a time where they were doing really well, and I'll read the notes that I was writing to find out what was working so well for them. And I'll also ask them to remember back to what they were doing at that time. And, invariably, they'll say, well, I was writing everything down and I was tracking really well.
Right.
It's a very, very powerful way to stay on track and stay motivated. And then as you're tracking your progress and you're noticing your results and you reflect on how far you've come, like to show somebody that graph of where they were and to show them the pictures of where they were and where they used to be and where they are now. And notice how even though they've had some struggles along the way, they're still doing just fine. That really can reignite your motivation to stay healthy and stay grounded. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can also help you to identify patterns in any areas that may need work and improvement. So you can adjust things as you're moving forward. So if you notice that, say, for example, well, gosh, every time I end up having extra work to do at work, I tend to get off track. Then you can plan for those times. If you know that, let's say you're a tax accountant and you know that every year at tax season, like things get a little wonky for you, you can plan ahead for that. And you can know it's not the end of the world if you happen to slip up because you're overworked during tax season. Okay. Or we have a lot of teachers. And so the end of the year is a really tough time for teachers because there's so much to do and the kids are getting antsy to get out of school. That's a rough time. We just went through that with a lot of our teachers. So, just think about what your life is like and what times tend to be sort of struggle bus times for you. And you can plan ahead if you notice the patterns, right? So you're journaling and you're noticing and you're tracking. Okay?
Yeah. I don't know. Tracking for me is something that I avoided for a really long time because, I mean, I don't know about any of you guys that are listening, but when you start tracking stuff, that's like when the rubber really hits the road.
Yep.
And you have to write that stuff down because like I would snack all day long and it was like I just did it mindlessly. Like, and you used to tell me that you're like, you think that snacks don't have any calories.
I know.
Because I would say, well, I don't really hardly eat anything, So it was before I knew a lot. But I just remember like just wanting to avoid tracking stuff because I knew once I started tracking it, that's when I was really going to learn a whole lot about myself. And you really, really do. I mean, it's a wonderful instrument, but it's a tell all. So I mean, you can't lie to your tracker.
Exactly.
You got to write that stuff down if you want to learn anything about yourself. It's just a really great instrument.
Yeah. Some people come in and they'll be like, oh my God, I drank 4 vodka spritzers.
Right,
I didn't even realize it.
I know, right?
It's like, no wonder.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's just, it's a really, really powerful tool. So
it is.
Tracking. Okay. All right. Here's one more way to stay motivated. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I want to bring it up again now. And that's what we call focusing on your future self. So think about it like this. There's the past you, the you that's lived in the past. There's the present you that's here right now. And then there's the future you. Okay. So if you focus on the past, that's going to usually get you in trouble. Sometimes you can learn from focusing on how you responded to things in the past, and you can think about different ways to respond. But very often, focusing on the past is not all that helpful. So what you want to do is you want to focus on the future you, the you that you are creating. Okay. So you visualize yourself in the future with your goals already met. You see yourself feeling confident and healthy and vibrant. Okay. So remember, you're thriving in a healthy, vibrant body that you're proud of. So you really want to get to know this future version of yourself. And then you can ask yourself at all times, what does the future version of me need me to be doing right now?
Oh, that's good.
What can I be doing in the present to serve the future me?
I like this one.
Doesn't that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
When you start thinking like this, it becomes much easier to do all of the stupid, mundane things that need to be done on a day-to-day basis in order to achieve your goals. You're preparing your meals, not just to nourish the present you, but you're doing it for the future you that you're creating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it okay if I share like what keeps me motivated?
Yeah.
This is what keeps me motivated right now. And I do share this with patients a lot.
Uh-huh.
So kind of gets me choked up a little bit because I think about there is not a single thing. Like when I start to feel tempted, because that happens a lot. I have one of those kind of brains that it just really never fully goes away. I mean, I always have this brain that's saying, no, you can, this is going to make you feel better if you eat a little of this, or do that. Mm-hmm. So I have a very addictive brain. Mm-hmm. And I just keep thinking to myself, and I have to keep telling myself, there's not a single thing on this earth that I could eat that tastes better than feeling sexy and confident in my body. Ooh. Not a single thing.
Ooh, good.
When I'm tempted, I have to automatically tell myself that to like filter out those tempting, thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Wow.
And
that's
it really helps me. Yeah.
Thank you. That's like super focusing on the future you that you're creating.
Yeah, because starting to feel confident in my body was, I mean, I remember how I used to feel before I felt confident, and I was so miserable, and I avoided social events, and everybody was miserable around me because I was miserable. And when I started to feel good and feel confident, there's just nothing like that feeling. There's just nothing like it. So that thought just keeps me motivated. So I don't ever want to go back there again.
Yeah. So true. Well, you just brought up another sort of thing that can help you stay motivated. And that is you want to be the best self you can for the other people around you.
Right.
Because if you feel like crap and you're irritable all the time because you don't feel good in your body, like what kind of partner can you be? What kind of mother can you be? What kind of employee can you be?
Yep.
Like if you can't do it for yourself, do it for everybody else around you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I know my poor husband for a long time. I put him through a lot of stuff because I didn't feel good about myself. And I mean, I just took it out on the people that love me the most because they were closest to me. And, when we have to go somewhere, like if we went to church or something, I mean, my whole closet would be out on the floor because I could not find anything to wear. And then I would start a fight because I would be so angry that I couldn't find anything that fit. And then then I wouldn't want to go. And then, we'd always end up going to church upset, or we'd go to any event upset. And it was just like that routine over and over and over again. And I was just so unhappy.
Yeah.
So I just never want to go back to that place again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And in a different respect, when I was doing all that really rigid dieting, I was no fun to be around either.
Yeah, right.
Because, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to make it through this event? I don't want to go to this event because they're going to serve crap and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. So it can be like, when we are really struggling with food, it affects every aspect of our life. And so learning how to just nourish your body well, stay focused, keep yourself away from the sugar and flour. It's so much freedom. It really is so much freedom. So keep those things in mind to stay motivated. So, all right. That brings us to the end of our episode for today. So I really hope that these tips and techniques to stay motivated in your weight loss journey have been helpful for you. Remember, your motivation is always going to fluctuate and you cannot rely on staying motivated. But if you can set achievable goals, none of this crazy stuff, if you can track your progress, if you can find support systems, if you can celebrate all the non-scale victories along the way, you can stay on track and achieve long-lasting success. And always remember, if you want help, we're here for you. Join us in Empowered Weight Loss. Just go to journeybeyondweightloss.com/yes, and we'll see you on the inside. Take care, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.